Hi everybody, welcome to Guitar Hunter, what is this, episode 117. Holy cow, that's a lot of them. So, hey, yeah. So, no. Rasmus, not even close, man. This is my Guild D40. This is, I mean, just the working man's amazing guitar. So, this is, I mean, a magical guitar. It's an inch and 9/16, 11/16, inch and 11/16. It's a very skinny neck, so it's kind of hard to play some of those really tight. I actually know any Doc Watson. I'm not cool. I didn't grow up in bluegrass. I fake it. Anything I know. My finger, I'm getting old. My first knuckle here has been really not happy recently. Like just sore, hard to use. Yep, I'm in black and white. I'm in black and white because it's moody and it's fun. Where did I go? I just keep getting moved, right? I just recently found, Alabama Pines by Jason Isbell. If you play it, I think he plays it Capo 3 in C, so you're playing it in like E flat. But if you move it up, I warmed up, I sang before I started this. But you can do like that. Well, I moved into this room, if you can call it that, a week ago. I never do what I'm supposed to do, hardly even know my name anymore. No one calls it out, so it vanishes away. And I can't get to sleep at night, the parking lot's so loud and bright. The AC hasn't worked in 20 years, probably never made a single person cold. I can't say the same for me, I've done it many times. Somebody take me home through those Alabama pines. Somebody take me home through those Alabama pines. Dude, that song's so good. So, actually, okay, let me come back here. I haven't looked at any of the, it's a great sounding Guild D35. This is a D40. This is a D40 from 1970. I think I say 1970, but it's actually 71. But it's great. There's one thing that I absolutely hate. I'll bring you in close. This is just my nightmare. Gotta get my eyes close to it so it focuses on the same plane. But man, this thing drives me crazy. And again, messing with the camera when I always say like I'm just not gonna mess with it. I'm gonna leave it. But I got a zoom lens, so why not? Okay, well, let me jump back in. Welcome to Guitar Hunter, episode 117. Guitar Hunter Live. Oh yeah, I didn't finish that thought. This strap button should be like here, should be there, should be anywhere but right here. I'm probably just going to move it and fill that hole because it drives me just absolutely crazy. But I'm glad you all are here. Where are you coming from? Friends all over the world. All over the world. Rasmus is here. We've been talking a little bit. Mr. Kelly Lee is here. Hey, Kelly. How's your guitar, man? I'm glad you're here. Fun. Lone Grey Wolf. What's up? Monkey Sweeper. What a name. The color went out. Yeah. You ran out of color this week. Sorry. There's a lack of color here. What's going on, Mr. Paul Lanier from Red Stick? Heyo, from muddy South Louisiana. Yeah, you're from old Red Stick, huh? Red Stick, if you didn't know. Do you guys know this? Baton Rouge means red stick. Baton Rouge. I've had some pangs this week of missing Louisiana. Thinking about doing a shrimp boil. I just got, my father-in-law gave me the shrimp pot and the big propane burner. And then we also got a smoker. So I smoked my first pork shoulder last week. And it was awesome. Mr. Sam Vecchio is here. Good afternoon, Guitar Hunters. Greeting from sunny Syracuse. Gigging in 4 short hours. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Me too. I hope the gig goes well tonight. And yeah, should be good and exciting. Yes, I'm in black and white. Hi from Minnesota. Hey, Stan. Glad you're here. My left thumb's been jacked for a couple/few months. Yeah, I don't remember anything happening to my. It's in like the meat of my hand. Oh, yeah, I pinched it. It's like somewhere between my thumb and my first finger here, but that finger isn't happy. Yeah, it's like the beginning of The Wizard of Oz. Wait till he goes all Technicolor on us. I think I'm gonna hang in black and white on this episode because the thumbnail, I'll show you. This is black and white, and I just thought that was cool. So we'll just hang with it. So David Alexander coming from Boston. Hey, buddy, glad you're here. Silver Spring, Maryland. Hey-o, Kelly's very happy. Kelly got the coolest Eastman E16. Alden, thank you. Alden says, thumbs up, y'all. Yeah, please like, subscribe. We'll do announcements here in a second. What? All right. Hello from Slovenia. Timmy, man, thank you. Thanks for all your support. And I love Eastern Europe. I don't know if you're technically Eastern Europe, but I love Slovenia, Slovakia, Austria, Czech Republic. I would love to go back. The FERC event is happening next month. I'm not going to be able to make it because it's like I'm going to be in Canada with Boucher guitars at the same time. And it's also my birthday. So I'm going to be here for my birthday. And have a pool party and eat pizza because I'm a child. No, but that's the perfect birthday party for me. Every year it could be the same thing. Hang out with friends, have pizza and some beers, and float around in a pool. That's all I want to do. But in Virginia, man, June 16th, it's still pretty chilly. So there are some years that you're like, it's just not worth it. So, another Rob! Robert Devendorf is from Minnesota. Hey, buddy. Glad you're here. Yeah. So, I love this Guild D40 Bluegrass Special. Yeah. And then somebody else, Ron, is saying, actually, you're in gray and white. Contrast is too flat for black and white imaging. Sure. It says black and white on my camera. I don't get it. Hello. Checking in from Idaho. All right. Glad you're here. Wow, black and white. Yeah, it just feels right. Feels moody. On a day that we're going to talk about the lies that guitar brands need us to believe to keep money coming out of our pockets into theirs so that they can misuse it and go bankrupt. So, it's just real cheery stuff today. So, yeah. Patty Paystub likes the black and white. Yeah, Sam. Yeah, so a bunch of orders came through. Let's jump into announcements. All shirts are still in stock technically until Monday. Monday morning, we're going to go back to actual inventory of everything. If you've ordered one, we will get them ordered. We'll get them shipped probably by the end of next week. They'll all go out. Some went out yesterday. My assistant went and she hiked Machu Picchu, which is amazing. But it was like a 10-day journey, and it was great. So it timed out well while I was busy and she was busy. So anyway, but with all of that said, that's one of my turnaround phrases. If you ever hear me say, so, all of that being said, all these little turnarounds I use to just get it's my brain buffering between things that I need to say. All t-shirts will be in stock until Monday, and hats and coffee, and then after that, everything will go back to its actual numbers. Then we will ship them all to you, and the coupon codes go away. There are 2 coupon codes. There's Rise and Grind, RISEAND, GRIND, all caps, one word, gets you $5 off a bag of coffee, which basically means we make nothing. Like, by the time we're paying the $4.50 to ship it to people. But I want you to have delicious hot beans in your life. Don't say I didn't look out for you guys. Number 2, the other coupon code is shirts25, shirts25, gets you 25% off shirts, and so that's awesome. And so that one will work until Monday, and then those go away. So anyway, buy some stuff, and thank you for supporting Guitar Hunter. Make sure you're subscribed and like this video as well. Other announcements. I have a guitar from Baum Guitars. I can talk about this, I think. If not, might get an angry email after this. But I've got a guitar from Baum that I will shoot a video on in the next day or 2, and then I'll get that out probably next week. I've got like 3 or 4 videos in the hopper. If you are a patron, you're starting to see a lot more stuff early on. Patrons get early access, and you also get to be kind of my brain trust. And yeah, so anyway. Mr. Benjamin Lim Tian Hong Han. Hi, Jeremy from Singapore. Thank you for all your sharing, reviews. Hey, my Boucher HG54 Rosewood Parlor just arrived. Oh, man, what an amazing guitar. Mr. Ryan Byrne is here. Hey, buddy. Yes, Rasmus just glued the X-brace on my new guitar that he's building. Sounds like Gibson is in your target. A little bit. Miss an opportunity if you don't... Oh boy. Here we go. Here's another one that's kind of crazy. Gray Sky Morning. Yeah. What has that? Slow to a gray sky morning. F sharp? That doesn't seem right. No. Anyway, Gray Sky Morning feels like that's another good one to play on a Grayscale live show. Oh, the camera! I found my face. There we go. So, Newport News. A lot of my family's from Newport News. That's exciting. Glad you guys are here. Max Johnson from South Florida, buddy. Glad you're here. Greg McCurry has a D18 Crosby 116 of 250 and a Gibson LOO 1500 Sunburst. Hey, you selling those? You have those. Those are both awesome. Mr. Dr. Godine is in the house. Hey, buddy. How are you? This is awesome. So, any XXX or XXL shirt, 3X, that's how I should say that, not XXX. 3X shirts, yes, they should all be available to be purchased on the shop right now. If you want the really big sizes or the really small sizes, this is your moment. Make sure to order one by Monday, and then we'll get them all shipped out by the end of, ideally, end of next week. Could be the beginning of the week after, depending on how fast the print shop goes. But all of the shirts, I do, like you'll see some under some of the videos, I sell t-shirts through Spring. I don't do a whole lot of that because we still make all of the shirts ourselves. All of the shirts are printed actually by the same people that make this Virginia shirt that I'm wearing now. My friend Jeff, I went to high school with him. We were roommates in college. He runs a place called The Market here in town. And similar to Broad Porch Coffee for roasting the coffee, I pick friends and I work with friends here in the Valley and then kind of send that stuff all over the world. So the t-shirts get printed and pressed here in Harrisonburg, and then we pack them up. I'm doing less of this these days. I used to do every shirt until about a year ago. I did every shirt and every hat and every sticker, which is why a lot of them were late, because I'm busy. And anyway, but now my assistant Caitlin does them. So anyway, I love that, and I'm very thankful for that. So, are you the only one from Uruguay? Possibly. Probably. Maybe. Get a roommate. Bring a roommate back in. On the road again. Hey, Jeremy, in your experience as a dealer, are the limited edition Taylor GS Mini guitars worth it more than the standard models? I'm looking into selling my Taylor GS Mini E LTD avant-call, but don't know the money. That is the single biggest problem with Taylors, is that they always offer limited editions, and so just brand-wide limited edition doesn't usually mean that much more money unless it's something that someone really wants. So with that one, I would say it's I don't know. Avant-call isn't a particularly more desirable Tonewood. While it's cool and unique, it is not necessarily more expensive. So I would say it's not that crazy. Nice voice on that guitar. Thank you. I love that guitar. Yeah. Adam! Adam, how are you, man? I'm glad you're here. Bruh. Dude. Adam, how are you? I have my water bottle has a Baton Rouge Music Exchange. I need to, I'm not in South Louisiana that much anymore. But next time I am, you're not there anymore, but I'll come say hi. Evan's here. All right, guys. So, guys and gals, women, people, all of you, friends, guitar hunters. There we go. Let's go with guitar hunters. That's really how fast my brain works most of the time. Bum, 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 like a rock skipping across water. I've never been tested or diagnosed with ADD or ADHD. I remember taking, so I have an undergrad in special education, and I remember taking a diagnostics class. And I had a professor that basically said, hey, you probably have ADHD. Didn't do anything with it. Are we meeting next Friday? We're going to have to try and figure it out. I'm supposed to leave, I think Saturday. I'm supposed to leave early morning from here for North Carolina. So we'll have to talk. But Mr. Daniel Nadeem is going to take that one back here. The Gibson Discoverer down there in the corner. So, dude, Adam, I would love to. That'd be super fun. Adam used to work at Baton Rouge Music Exchange and was just, you were like Daniel, or Adam, you were around like right in the first couple months of when I was like, hey, I think I want to make a YouTube channel. And you were in some of the earliest videos on the channel. And Adam's just such a fun dude to be around and knows so much about guitars. And it's just the right vibe for a South Louisiana guitar shop. So, all right, well, you guys are here, all of you guitar hunters. We have assembled to talk about the lies that guitar brands need us to believe. And so let's get into it. I'm going to talk about this. I'll jump into comments in between them, and we're going to run. And we've got 42 minutes. My battery's on one. Hey, I'm going to swap the camera battery very quickly. Do, 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 do. Do dee do dee do dee 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 dee. There we go. We're back. All right, full battery now. Good. Just ordered a Fat Man shirt. Let's get printing. Perfect. Yeah. Throw all the big boys in there. Alrighty, let's jump into this. The number one lie that guitar brands need us to believe is that you really need it. Just doesn't matter what guitar you currently have, you just need it. Now this is probably the 30,000 foot, like this is every piece of marketing, and the fact that we live in like a consumer-based economic system, like our economy relies on consumption, and the problem with this is that guitars don't wear out. I mean, like, this is an old Goya from the early 70s, and it hasn't worn out. That's an old Gibson Country Western, hasn't worn out. What else do I have? This is 1971. I don't have as much that's super old. Here's a 68 Southern Jumbo. Again, hasn't worn out. So it's different than cars. I often kind of keep cars in my mind in comparing them. Oh boy, I said something. I'm not an anxious person, but every now and then I get a wave of stress and my eye just started twitching. So cars are like guitars. Cars are not like guitars in this way. Every year there's new cars that come out because people are putting thousands of miles and using them and wearing them out and running them down the road and loading up gravel in the back of your pickup truck and all that stuff. But guitars, most of us are not professional guitar players. I would bet that less than 0.5% of guitars that get sold actually get used every day or actually get put out to be played like on stages and travel and go to different humidities and get used and sweated on and shined in the lights and played in the hot sun. So most guitars like end up sitting around people's houses and they don't wear out. So anyway, the line number one that they need us to buy into is just the fact that that you need a new guitar. And I try to fight against this. I think the best guitar for you is the guitar you already have. I think if a guitar is too expensive for you, you don't need expensive guitars. Any guitar can do most things. And I am a huge advocate of, like, I think debt is so dumb. I think borrowing money for a hobby is a terrible idea. Borrowing money for a professional business is a bad idea. All the businesses I've ever started, I've never borrowed any money to do it. Anyway, that's my soapbox, but a lot of guitar brands really put the pressure on that you just need it. And so let's move to number 2. Line number 2, the elf in the tree. This one, if you've ever heard this phrase, the first person I ever heard use this phrase was Kimberly Dalton from Huss and Dalton. And Kimberly said, her line was so good. She's like, there's no elf in the tree out back. And what she means by that is there guitar brands, boutique guitar brands, but even big ones, kind of get to where you have this idea that there is secret wisdom that comes from an elf, that comes from this one person that is secretive and can't be shown into light. Dana Bourgeois hand-built this guitar, and therefore it is worth $20,000. You get into Wayne Henderson breathed on this guitar, and just his mere breath opened it up and made it sound like a pre-war D18. Beware of the elf in the tree. I think that a lot of marketing makes guitars want to feel really essential and like they are distilled from the heavens, that they arrived on the ground like manna from heaven. And they're wood and glue and some metal and some bone and some plastic. And then they're sprayed with sometimes some plastic or nitrocellulose lacquer. I mean, they are organic stuff that is assembled by people. Now, there is some wisdom to how they get put together, but it's nothing crazy. And the biggest thing is like just the elf in the tree. Beware of brands that put a person as the reason for their success. Because the thing is, very few guitars, and I'll pick on my Padgett. Very few guitars are built by one person from start to finish and still turn out as world-class, as excellent. My Padgett Model 1 is probably the best guitar I've ever owned as far as construction and tone goes. It's probably my best sounding guitar. I'm pointing at it because it's right over there by the wall in its case. But that guitar still, Ben at the time didn't have a finish booth. So it's a French polish finish. And so the finish has been kind of a pain. It's thin. My fingernails have made little tick marks in it. It's just worn out a little faster than I thought it was. And then that guitar still had some issues. And so beware of like the elf in the tree. There aren't elves in the trees. There is not this like, there's nothing necessarily mythical that happens to a guitar. Yeah. I'll do 2 at a time and then I'll come back over for that SJ is beautiful, black and white. Yeah, it is. Look at that thing. I think a lot of things are more poetic and beautiful. I keep bonking that thing. Dang, Norman Blake isn't. I should make Norman Blake a coupon code. They can wear out. They can, but look how old that guitar is. You know. CMA exclusive colors do move the needle. Yeah. With me, considering buying one new, because I know resale value tends to hold much better. That's true. Ooh. Atkin versus Iris. Atkin is an unbelievably great guitar, and so is Iris. But Iris is made to a price point. The satin finishes, the bolt-on necks. I would still go with an Atkin, but I still think, and I've said this before, Iris was the absolute best guitar of all the guitars I reviewed in 2020. The absolute best. Should have kept it. Tusk brand saddles are amazing at improving the sound of instruments, like my Martin HD28. What's your opinion on keeping a guitar vintage versus trying to improve the sound? Any modification that easily gets you back to that you can easily undo, easy. Like I wouldn't change a nut, but I would change a saddle. So yeah. Pat Riley says, "Is that Southern Jumbo the one you have for sale on your page?" It is. That one's on my website. JeremyTheGuitarHunter.com/shop. All right. So, elf in the tree. Beware of the elf in the tree. They don't live there, and there isn't secret knowledge, which brings us to the next one. Lie number 3. They want you to believe that there's secret knowledge that makes their guitars best. They want to say that they are doing something. It's proprietary. I can't tell you. We've worked through hours of research, and I will say the biggest people shilling, no, that's the wrong word. The biggest people like putting out this like secret knowledge kind of mumbo jumbo is Paul Reed Smith. Like probably, yeah, they're pretty bad at it. They do this like, we have a secret mix, and even if a part looks like a part, it actually is something that's been gone through. And so they will say, we make our own tuners and we make our own pots and, whatever. But they don't. So they make their own pickups. I don't mean to pick on them at all. But I think there's this move that says, there's this move and you always hear it. We went back, we found secret knowledge, we went back in history and we rediscovered how they did things. And so Martin is the other one that is the most to blame for this. Martin constantly says, we rediscovered, we got back to our roots. Where it's like, you got back to your roots. Are you saying that those guitars for the last 30, 40 years weren't good? And because we kind of knew that. And then you get back to, older guitars. So one of my guiding life principles is beware of secret knowledge. When someone says the real secret to making a guitar easy to play is the setup, and that's why we charge more money for it, I always balk at that. Anytime someone says the real secret to great guitar tone is the kind of glue that we use. So Martin, in their vintage tone system, I've heard this. I don't know if this is true. I hope it's not true. I've heard, someone told me recently, what makes Martin so good, the Authentic series, is that they have found glue from the museum and they've reconstituted hide glue from the 1930s, and they were able to reconstitute that, and now this glue, because it's so old, when it cures, it sounds like a pre-war guitar. And I just kind of barf at that because it's crazy to me. So what I think is when a brand says that they have secret knowledge of how to make a guitar, it's almost always completely marketing. And I'm a marketer, and I always am offended at that phrase, but that's marketing. That is just words to get money out of your pocket. So I think be really careful. And here's my closing thought on this one. Secret knowledge or rediscovery. Today's rediscovery is yesterday's innovation. And so there's a reason that brands stopped doing certain things. There's a reason Martin stopped using hide glue. Steve Showalter, when we built a guitar together last summer and last fall, I asked him, I was like, hey, what do you think about hide glue and all these? And he said, if those builders were around today, they would use the best glue that they had available to them. They would use Type Bond 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever he's going to use, or they would use epoxy. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I think that there is a level of like, well, adhesive and musical instruments, you need adhesive in instruments, but not all adhesives become musical. Like not all of them are resonant and work well to keep a guitar sounding great. So that's, yeah, be careful of secret knowledge. Number 4, old is better. Old must be better. Old has to be better. If it's old, it must be more expensive. I had an Instagram reel and a YouTube short about this week, and it's funny, I came up with that sentiment while I was thinking about this live show, but I didn't use an example that's particularly good. Think about like a PV T60. They're getting a little expensive, but they're old. They're not that good. They're really, really heavy. Like they're 11 or 12 pounds. Really heavy. And people keep kind of thinking that because they're old, they must be expensive. I mean, look at my guild that I was playing at the beginning here. Old, not that expensive. Sounds excellent. All solid, made in America. But in the end, you know, like that guitar, a couple years ago, that guitar was $1,000, $1,200. Now, people are asking 15, 16. I don't know if they're getting that. I'm not selling mine, so I don't really know what the market is on them. But a lot of things that guitar brands tell you now is that they will find old materials, and by using old materials, they probably need to get more money out of your pockets. So they'll say, oh, and I'll pick on Alvarez Yairi on this. They'll say, we found a stack of Honduran mahogany that is 50 years old. When the reality is, you bought it and you didn't use it all this time because it's mahogany. And mahogany's always just been undervalued and just the wood you make a guitar with if you can't find rosewood. And as the laws change, so now it does feel like I am not picking on Alvarez Yairi, and I love those guitars. I've played 4 of them, and they've all been excellent. But the reality is, mahogany is, I don't know, there's nothing like super like special or providential about it. Now, with that said, I have pretty much every guitar I own. I only own 2 rosewood guitars. Everything else is mahogany or maple. And I really, really love mahogany. But with all that said, when somebody's like, oh, maybe Sinker, there's an asterisk with Sinker. And maybe it's a little different. But overall, old doesn't necessarily mean better. All right, let me come back over here to the comments. Where do the woodland elves live then, Jeremy? Holes in the ground? It's true. Discount for... I'll give you a discount. Yeah, send me an email. I'll give you a deal. What's your opinion on Yairis? Love them. They're incredibly great quality guitars. I've done like 2 videos on Yairis recently. Yairis. And I really like them. They're incredibly well built. They're very bright. They don't have as much low end or bass yet. They will. They'll open up. I got more compliments on my playing in the first couple minutes of the Yairi, the FYM 60 HD video that came out earlier this week on Monday. People saying that it's just so good. Russell Smith says, one needs to take care of your guitars. Then again, don't overboard in the process. Yeah, don't go overboard. The secret knowledge of the 30s golden era. Yeah, the secret. That's true. That's funny. The real secret wisdom is to build guitars like they built them around the time that all the most expensive guitars from the world are. People are pretty bad at keeping secrets. That's the other part of this. Why I kind of use this. Because the other thing is, it gets me, we're still in this like whiplash cycle of like, well, the real secret to dieting is intermittent fasting. You know, in old times, you would kill an animal and you would eat for 2 days and then you'd be hungry for 6 weeks. And if you do that, your body will know that you're a primal creature and will burn off all your fat. And then you only eat 1 meal and you're like, I'm mostly hungry all the time. And anyway, people are bad at keeping secrets. If there was wisdom to be distilled, we're also pretty good at turning wisdom into money or wisdom into medication. And medication makes lots of money. So anyway, yeah. Is it a better idea to look at which brand or luthier has the best lumbar? I don't know what you mean. Lumber. Got it. Materials absolutely matter. That's a thing. I think I put that in this list and then I took it out. Materials matter a lot. And I think you have to look at, similar to food, the words that we use can have shifty definitions. Like natural in the food world can mean all kinds of things. Organic means a specific thing. And that's why organic has to be certified, and it's more expensive because it's a harder thing to do. Where natural, you can say like all natural. You know, well, sugar is natural. High fructose corn syrup is natural. So anyway, but the materials do matter. In guitars, the biggest thing is you see people, they're like, oh, it's African mahogany. You're like, well, whatever the Latin name, like mahogany trees, oh boy, this probably is not true, but from my understanding, mahogany trees, proper mahogany does not live in Africa. That's probably not true, but I've heard it to be true. But you'll see like, oh, it's African mahogany, and you're like, well, it's actually sapelli. Well, sapelli isn't technically mahogany. And then the next one is that like kaya is not actually mahogany. It looks similar, it's similar in density, it's similar in like in the grain of the wood and the color, but anyway. Don't get Josh Scott started on magical old stock diodes. Yep, that's true. It's probably even more mechanical for Josh. Like they are of value. Like a battery doesn't matter. A battery is voltage. And then, you know, the other way around of all these other things. PRS found the secret bracing technique in an old Torres Classical, which wasn't a secret at all. They just learned something and applied it. Yeah, that's true. I know that's the same thing with Taylor's V-Class bracing. V-Class bracing is like over 100 years old. There was a patent for it that is not enforced, and someone told me that. Some guitar builder. I think it was somebody in Europe. That narrows it down. I know a builder who uses the secret knowledge lie all the time. You go into the shop and you go through it. It's no different than off the rack, just made a little better. Yep. Yeah. Hide glue from organic grass-fed horses. Yeah. They had like special spa days, their hooves before they made this glue. All right, I can't catch up. There's too many. If you have a burning question, feel free to do super chats. Those are always easier for me to see. Line number 4 is old equals better. Line number 5, spend more, get more. Listen, think about this. Again, continuing the stuff from race cars. My dad is into, not as much anymore, but he used to be really into expensive cars. And the thing I kept finding with the expensive sports cars that he was getting is that the more money he would spend on a car, the less car you would get. One of the cars he had, you got in and you're like, oh, Dad, it's kind of hot in here. Can you turn on the air conditioning? He's like, doesn't have air conditioning. Faster 0 to 60. You're like, okay, well, we're going to the airport, so it doesn't matter how fast we're going 0 to 60. It's kind of hot in here. And then his car also didn't have, it had like little straps for the door handles. And like, yeah, so the more money you spend, the less you actually get. Think about this. I think Martin has kind of seen some of the error of their ways in this. The Martin Authentic line, which, let me give a perfect preface on this. I think the best guitar you can buy from Martin for the money right now is the Martin D8, the 1937 D28 Authentic VTS. I think that's the absolute best guitar that they're making. It sounds unbelievably good. It is so cool. It is so wonderful, and has a huge problem. They did it authentic in the bad way. They did it without an adjustable truss rod, and that freaks people out, and it's hard to own. It also is a through saddle. So there are two main problems. You're like, well, I now have a guitar that I can't control the relief of the neck. And then I have a guitar that's going to change, and I'm not going to be able to change the height of the saddle without modifying the original saddle, and it's just way harder with a through saddle. So the more money you spend, the less guitar you actually get. This idea came from two of the guys that work at Hometown Music. I was asking them today, like, hey, what do you think about guitars? And they looked around the shop and they said, well, I think all of our brands, money is a pretty good indicator of what is actually the best guitar in the shop. but not always. And they started kind of looking at like, well, once you get into it, materials aren't necessarily the same. And for some brands, you're paying more for the name and you're getting less guitar. The Gibson G45, man, that thing was not great. It was a $600-700 guitar. No, it was a $500 guitar that had Gibson on the headstock and made in the U.S. And they drilled a hole in the side to somehow tell you that it's better. That guitar was fine. I owned that guitar for a while. And anyway, the more money you spend, the less you get. Lie number 6 that they want us to believe is that dovetail joints are best and the only real guitars in the world have dovetail joints. I'm mostly looking at Martin here. Martin, this is a hill that, I mean, it's a problem of their own making. They have so firmly convinced people that they are the absolute best guitars, and the reason they are the best is because they are rooted in tradition and they know how to make the right guitars. And the best guitars ever made were made between 1933 and 1939 by Martin in Pennsylvania, D18s, D28s, D45s, OM42s, that those are the best guitars ever, and that in order to have any kind of chance at having a world-class guitar, you have to build them just like that. You can't change anything. You have to do a lacquer finish. You have to do a dovetail joint neck. Now, the thing with this is that a dovetail joint is kind of hard to deal with. Like a bolt-on neck, in the life of a guitar, it is not unreasonable to think that the neck of that guitar has to come off at least once, maybe twice, maybe a couple times. And so with that, I think that it's intensely problematic that Martin always does dovetails. Now, they do a bunch of bolt-ons, or like mortise and tenon, that there's some kind of, it's still a dovetail, but there's still a screw in it. Somebody got really upset with me in the comments. They said I was an idiot and I didn't know what I was talking about, which they're not totally wrong. Yeah, dovetail joints. Some of the best guitars that I own. Bada boom, the Foxwood. My Ferk Vintage 2 OM with a loose battery pack in it. This one has a bolt-on neck. And I love these guitars. They sound great. Dovetail joint does not mean better tone, more bass, or more treble, or more resonance. I've always been told that. My whole life I've been told that a dovetail joint has better sustain, and I just don't think it's true. All right, coming back over the comments for just a minute. Tex, coming in. You've read the future. Are you in my notes? How do you get there? Okay. SV2935 says, with all the vintage talk about the 1930s, why not more 12-fret neck dreadnoughts? I think they're coming around. I see more all the time. I have a Santa Cruz. It's in the house. I was playing it this morning with my kids. Played it at lunch. We have a Alvarez Yairi, the DYM 70? Whatever it is, I have a video on it. I called it the long-awaited king of Japanese guitars. And so yeah, I think more people are kind of catching on to that. This is a thing for sure that Terry's going to talk about. Yeah, Loudon It. Loudon is a great one too that's doing some 12 frets. The new featherweight Martin D18 vintage models are amazing. If one plays that kind of music, they're pretty magical. I think the D18 has not been better since 2012. I think that's the best. We are in the best time ever of D18s. I've had a bunch of them. Haven't owned as many in the last couple of years because people got wise and they got expensive. But for a long time, 2012 to 2019, I was buying a D18 every couple months for $1,200 to $1,400, $1,600, and I would sell it for $1,800 to $2,200. Tracy's first dread was a bolt-on neck Epiphone. Yeah, I'm sure in the 70s, and those are still around, and they sound pretty good. Same with bolt-on versus set neck for electrics. Seriously, yeah, this is a serious debate. And yeah, there it is. The DYMR70SB. Yep, is the 12 fret dread. Rasmus says it's more about being able to re-glue stuff and making guitars easier to repairs. Talking about the hide glue versus fish, or hide glue or fish glue. It's true. That's what my only like concern when I was building my Showalter guitar with Steve is that he uses epoxy to put the neck and the fingerboard together. Because he's like, there's no reason you would ever need that. And I'm like, well, hold on. Never say never. There's a great quote from, what's his name? Adam Savage from Mythbusters, that he talks about why he uses screws more often than he uses nails. And he says that nails are a one-way solution. They go together, they don't come back apart. Where a screw, you can undo, if you need to. That's why I think, especially electric guitars, and PV is the only brand I've ever seen consistently do. That's not true. Close does this as well, and a couple others. But I think that if you're making a bolt-on neck electric guitar, I think use machine screws, use metal inserts to let people put the neck on and off, because I always get stressed out about wood screws running over and over in and out of guitars. Nathan, I love my PRS SE Acoustic. It goes against all these lies. I think it's good. I think PRS has accidentally made their SE line way too good. I own 2 of them now. The McCarty over here and the Custom 24 over there. Joe! Hey, buddy. Glad you're here, man. All right, let's keep going. The other lies that guitar brands need us to believe is spend more, get more. Dovetails best. All right, we're down to the last 3. Number 7, Tonewood matters. This one's spicy. This one's a scooch of clickbait. But people want you to believe that Tonewood matters so much. Mostly that rosewood, that you don't own a real acoustic guitar unless it's made of rosewood back and sides. And I have kind of committed my life to proving people wrong on that. I think mahogany, maple, cherry, Osage orange, I think these are all incredibly important. Black walnut, these are all like sustainable, wonderful. Mahogany's not as sustainable. But these other tone woods are available, and they sound really good, and they look really good, and they are good. I keep saying good. For a long time. Probably 100 years now. Guitar brands have really needed you to believe that a good guitar is only rosewood. That you have an amateur or an aspiring kind of guitar if it's mahogany or maple or walnut or oak or whatever the back and sides are. It's really problematic. And people believe different things about themselves because they own a guitar that's mahogany. Like, people regularly say to me, they'll have a D18. They're like, well, I just couldn't quite afford a D28 when I got this. I'm like, no, like, this thing's awesome. I mean, I think that, why do we think that rosewood is magical and mahogany is okay? Both grow in the same jungle. Both grow in the same places in the world. Both sound great, work really well as tone woods. Yeah, so that's a big one that gets me a whole lot, is that it just bothers me. I think that mahogany is a great tone wood. And people have really just been sucked in to believe that rosewood must be better because it is more expensive. Like, more money must mean that it's better, when not always. Sometimes it's just, there's probably less of it, or there's some marketing, or there's just some peer pressure happening. Lie number 8, figure equals tone. I might actually. You're gonna have your own little moment here. Let me. Hang on. Let me do this. There we go. So, this is an Arcara OM18. This is an exceptionally good guitar, and it has really beautiful mahogany on the back and sides. It is just so figured and beautiful. But this guitar sounds great, but I am not convinced that the figure of this makes it sound good. I think this sounds like a really beautiful mahogany guitar. All right, I'm going back to black and white. I feel safe here. Figure does not equal tone. And if you don't believe me, this quote came from an interview that I did with Leo Buendia and Gage Howland, which these are two of the most expensive and like most desired guitar builders in the world. And that's actually a direct quote. Figuring does not equal tone, or figure does not equal tone, from Gage Howland. And his guitars are, $18,000, I think, is kind of where they start. $18,000 to $30,000. So anyway, it's a big thing. But we believe that really figured Brazilian sounds better and must be better. Now, it is really cool. There are certain Tonewoods that are so cool. Like, if you've ever seen a proper zero coat back and sides on a guitar, like the solid stuff, it is beautiful. Like, you would have an emotional response seeing how beautiful creation can be from that. Whatever wood Fender is using on fingerboards these days feels awful. That's interesting. Yeah, the Pau Ferro is pretty sticky, and kind of dry. It's like chalky feeling. All these words. Yeah. Incredible builders using alternative woods build incredible guitars. I think Martin needs to commit to a standard like Penn Cherry and now make it part of the company's future. I think they have. They've done that deal with the FSC certified Cherry in the sustainable wood series for probably 20 years now, and it's pretty amazing. I disagree generally about tone woods, but I agree with the high-end woods like Brazilian rosewood and Adirondack spruce. Yeah. Did you see Anderson's latest, where they blindfolded a bass player and he thought a German Warwick bass was from China? What do you think of that? I've done a couple of those, and they're so hard because with my eyes open, my ears work pretty great. When my eyes are taken away, I've done two of them technically. I did one with the Acoustic Shop where we did a Bourgeois. Now it's two guitars I didn't know that well. A Bourgeois Country Boy versus a Bourgeois Touchstone. And so. Yeah, so Elliot says, I've got no problem with Sapelli sound-wise, but the stripes bug me. Me too. Like, some people, like Boucher sent me one a while ago talking about Brazilian mahogany, and it had those, like, kind of ribbony, and they called it ribbon mahogany, and I just couldn't get into it, because to me it just looked like a Taylor GS Mini, or, like, looks like very affordable guitars. Wow, that's a great sounding guitar. It really is. That's a full-blown, like, hand-built amazing guitar. I think I'm asking $5,800 for that one. If you want it, I'll give you a good deal. Yeah, Avancal is such a great Tonewood, but doesn't have that pedigree. I think it's coming. Hey-o! Hey, Paul. Hey, buddy. Late joining. Happy Black and White Friday, all. Figuring is cool. I'm too practical to care that much. Money. I have an you have an OME Cherry in the line. That's it right now. Oh, okay. They have. Interesting. I really like Cherry as a Tonewood. That, Waterloo WLS, which I would love to replace that guitar. Had to sell that in the last stretches of everything is expensive, and I have children that need things, food, and a house to live in. But yeah. But Cherry is a great Tonewood. Maiden has made a guitar with a pine top, and it might be great, but it looks like it was made at Home Depot. That's funny. You say beware of the elf in the tree, but you buy new guitars and used guitars for your collection. I very, very, very rarely buy new guitars. Buy guitars. The only new guitar I've bought in years is this PRS Custom 24. Right? What else have I bought? Yeah. We do guitars where I do some... Yeah. Anyway. So, okay, yeah, I can talk about the elf in the tree. Now, I do think there are personalities worth paying attention to, owning guitars that they make. I do think it's really important. There are some guitars that because of a person that was involved in the process, it's worth it and more expensive to own those guitars. But I think that when you look at those people, they are not inherently, they don't have a special dispensation of knowledge or wisdom. I think that they've worked really hard, and they've read a lot of books, and they've played really incredible guitars, and they've paid attention to how to make things. And so as you dig into them, you find that they're connected to this whole network of other guitar builders. But I get that for sure. 2000 Martin HD28 Herringbone. Any good? Yeah. It's kind of hard. It's hard to find a bad HD28. Big, boomy, loud guitar. All right. The very last rule is... or the lie, is that country of origin matters most. I am probably the most hooked on this one. I feel like this is a lie, but it still carries a lot of punch. I think that very few things hold value or like cause the value to like be retained or added or have such an effect on the value of a guitar than country of origin. What's interesting is guitars are all materials from around the world. Like most of these guitars, if you think about them, they're maple from North America. They are mahogany or rosewood from either South America or India. They are ebony from Africa. Then they are bone, usually from European cattle or American cattle. Then they are steel that comes from South America, like the ore, or they come from Canada. I mean, they're really... Then there's all the stuff made from Japan, like a lot of tuning machines are made in Japan. So you can just get to where like, okay, well, kind of where they're put together doesn't matter that much once they all are like they're assembled from around the world. There are places that, you know, if a guitar is made in China, it can mean a bunch of different things. You have Chinese-made guitars that are like the Global, the Esteban, the terrible, you know, the cheapest of cheap, awful guitars, the Amazon guitars, the Glaries of the world. Glary is still the worst guitar I've played in the last 5 years. It was genuinely too bad to even review. Then you have other guitars like Natasha guitars. I have that bamboo guitar that is unbelievably good. And it's only $500. It's made of bamboo. I think that if you're looking to make guitars, bamboo is a material that we should absolutely pay more attention to. I think it sounds great. I think it's going to age pretty well. And yeah, I've really, really liked it. So country of origin does matter. But it means a whole bunch of different things for different guitars. I think the process... I think we assume that the country of origin means a quality thing, but I think we're confusing correlation and causation. I think that higher quality guitars are made in an economy where people have the dignity and choice to choose their occupation. That's probably a big one. And then you also have these guitars where you have specialization in that smaller economy, and you get to where you can have people that their whole gig is just building guitars, and then the better guitars they make, the more money they get, which means they get to slow down and make less guitars that are better, and then raise the price. And so that's where you get to. I mean, there's some brands. Duncan Africa, I'm super excited to work with them. We've got something on the books coming up in the next couple months. Duncan Africa, if you don't know, their guitars that are made in Uganda, and they are the coolest of cool. I actually had one, but it got damaged in shipping, and so we had to work. It didn't work. But we've got another one coming, and so Duncan Africa, they are a guitar that is made. The whole brand is literally made as a mission and a belief to give people valid work, to make musical instruments, to make honest, good wages for their families. I think they have like 14 or 16 people working in the shop now building them, and then they get sent to Canada. They get assembled in Africa, but then they get kind of final setups and all the final TLC in the US. So anyway, country of origin does matter, but I think it's a nuanced thing, and I think that you have to be able to see clarity exists just on the other side of complexity. And so I think for you to see guitar values and to become a guitar hunter, you have to put enough work into it to get just on the other side of the complexity so that you can see the nuance that, okay, a guitar made in the US does mean that it's probably better because better access to materials, better access. We have better laws for shipping guitars around the world. We have better laws for getting materials here. There are more people building guitars here than other places, not than Europe, but it's complicated. It's nuanced. Anyway, come back over to the comments, then we'll wrap up. Eastmans are awesome. They are. They're really awesome. We got a bunch of Eastmans at the shop now. Morgan says, the number of times I've talked about people who claim that there's no way a Korean guitar could ever be as good as one made in the U.S. is sad. Recently came up when discussing the Greg Koch signature. Man, that's awesome. One of the questions that's helpful, like Rob Chapman years ago, when talking about Chapman guitars, said, are CNCs more accurate in Asia or in Europe? And the point is, well, they're the same. Like, if the same tool, is set up in the same way, cutting the same piece of wood in a different country. So that's where you start getting to like certain brands that really prioritize using labor and materials that come from Southeast Asia, like Duesenberg. It's controversial. I don't know if they say that they don't, but many guitar builders have said, we make our guitars in the same factory in Korea that Duesenberg does. And I've seen pictures. I've literally seen pictures of like stacks of Duesenbergs in a plant in Southeast Asia. Revolta. You look at these guitars that are like, they get brought to the U.S. and then they get put together and assembled. I mean, it's really hard to say that America is the only country or Europe is the only continent that can make like reliably great, transcendent, value-driven guitars. So, that's good. Ooh, that's a really good question. Eastman E20 or a Yamaha FGX5? I'd do an E20. I think they're unbelievably great. We have one in the shop. It's a torrefied top, and it's so good. Reminds me a lot of the Bourgeois Touchstone, but it's even like $1,500 less than the Eastman. Or than the Bourgeois. So, yeah, man. Bought an Eastman E59 a while back. China can still be amazing and inspiring. It rocks, and this is my top guitar. Dude, that's so exciting. We've got a 57 in the shop that is so good. Is $2,700 good price for a 2000 HD 28 herringbone? Seems high to me, but HD 20s have been bringing 26 to 27 for the last little bit. I would like to get it at 22, 24, but I think that might be unrealistic. How about electric companies like Fishman and Boss claiming that whatever their game-changing is because no one... claiming their new whatever is game-changing because no one knows the difference? Oh, I don't know if I want to answer that. I know that people from Fishman watch my videos. I don't know if they watch an hour and 5 minutes and 27 seconds into it. Fishman is innovating and doing new things and bringing out new exciting things, but they continue to buy into just like, there's a philosophy of how they're getting to what they're doing that I just don't dig, which is that it is best to take the electrical response from a pickup under the saddle, do some voodoo to it, make it sound like a microphone and a guitar in a studio, process with reverb and compression, and then put it out as a good giant sounding HD28. But it's not your guitar. Where for me, I am on a mission to have my guitar sound like my guitar, just louder. So I'm a big fan of that. Terry says Van Downs does lots of his recordings with a small body 12 fret Eastman. That says a lot. It's true. Daniel says definitely recent Epiphones have become at least 70% better than they used to be. I believe that. That's good. Eastman guitars are too heavy. I'll have to weigh them. I've noticed that the tops are thicker. They have more of that popsicle brace or like whatever the cross grain stuff is in the sound hole. Tracy on Facebook says, I think people forget that there are now at least 3 generations of luthiers making guitars in China and Japan. Some amazing guitars are coming from there. It's true. The most impressive I've had are the Avian guitars made in China. I've had 2 of those, and they've both been really, really remarkable. Natasha is also making excellent guitars. I have 3 of their guitars right now, and they're just genuinely excellent. Yeah, probably because they're using AI to scan your video for keywords involving them and just watch those sections. Good. Well, I'm glad I gave them the timestamp, too. They look like they might be heavier, but play Les Paul, so it's no issues. Maybe the acoustic guitar is what they're talking about. This may be the worst typo of the day. Aging hands. Plays the Gibson. Tracy said it best. It's true. Thank you, Tracy. Plays the Gibson. You want me to play the Gibson in the corner? Okay, I'll do that. I'll answer just a couple more questions. We're going to wrap up in 3 minutes because I got to go. Got to go see a man about a 70s PV classic. This is my 1955 Gibson Country Western. Let me scoot. You see a microphone now. You didn't even know that microphone was there. Alright, I gotta play something else. What should I play? Let me play... So I've got a guy coming to the shop here in a couple minutes. I'm going to scoot this back. Why do I mess with stuff? But I've got a guy coming to the shop who has a 1970s PV classic. It's a 212. So it's a tube amp. It's not working right, and he wants not much money for it. So I'm going to try and make something happen. What can I play that I haven't played 10,000 times? It is really wild. When I play guitar in the house, I play a totally different kind of series of songs. But when a camera's on, I get stuck in the same things that I play all the time. Daniel said, how do you know if a vintage guitar amp works well enough to buy? You gotta be able to get it loud. You got to be able to test to make sure it's not scratchy and everything works. And if you can leave it on for a couple minutes. Let's see, what's Ron's question? Ron says, with all the talk about Eastman, I think it's worth mentioning that for us amateurs, a $1,200 guitar may make more sense than a $3,000 instrument. Absolutely. The thing now with Eastman is you can get a guitar that is the same finish, it's the same finish, it's the same materials, it's bought in the same place, it's all of that. Like, the E20 is an HD28 for half of the price. The only real difference is where it's made, and then it's made by Martin rather than being made by Eastman. Too late. It's going to happen. Hang on. That was in the first YouTube video I ever made. So anyway. Sorry. This thing still has a lot of that crazy kind of sitar sound. But anyway, that's the end of the live show for today. How much did I pay for this country and western? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell the internet. I'll get picked on. I'll get made fun of. It's not safe here. No, text me. I'll tell you. But yeah. So, anyway, this has been a fun one. Thanks for hanging out. And yeah, this has been a good live show. And that's all I got. I'm going back to the guitar shop. Come hang out if you're around in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And I'm going to be there for about another hour after this. So, I'm Jeremy. You are a guitar hunter and you get a gig. You got to go fill the world with music and friendship. I'm thankful for this community. I cannot believe the kindness and the wonderful community that's come up around this channel. I'm really thankful for it. I'm thankful that for all the patrons, all the channel members. If you ever see that little logo beside people's names, that means that they're a channel member. They pay a couple bucks a month, and that helps pay for the lights and keep the things on, and help this channel keep growing. And I'm really thankful that this is how I get to spend my time. I don't know a better way for me to spend my life than talking about guitars and helping people become the best versions of themselves. So I'm really thankful for all of you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you are subscribed. Hit a thumbs up. And notification if you want. If you want the bell to know whenever I put out videos. I'm trying to do a lot more reels. You've probably seen more of those. I'm trying to do 3 or 4 a week. And then I'm still doing, 2 or 3 videos per week. So thanks for hanging out. Really good. Really good. Thanks, everybody. Love you all. Bye. Play another guitar. I think it's time to go. All right. Bye. Thanks for hanging out.